This is Chatbots Behaving Badly, the show where we rip the duct tape off AI's mouth and ask what it's really been doing behind closed servers. Written by Marcus Brinsa, narrated by Andrew Foley. Today, we're diving into a topic that sounds responsible, polite, even aspirational: ethically sourced data. It's a phrase you'll hear more and more in AI press releases, keynote speeches, and painfully optimistic TED Talks. But what does it actually mean? Who decides whether data is ethical? And is this the future of responsible AI development, or just the industry's latest excuse to pretend it cleaned up without ever touching a mop? Let's talk about what ethically sourced data is, or what it pretends to be. Imagine you walk into a gourmet coffee shop. On the menu, ethically sourced, shade-grown and hand-picked beans from a farm where every goat is named and gets weekends off. Now imagine you order a cappuccino and they say, "Actually, we just scooped the beans off the floor of a warehouse in a port somewhere. They were just lying there. Technically public." That's how data works in AI. Ethically sourced data suggests consent, transparency, maybe even a hug. But for most of AI's short and chaotic history, the norm has been this: if it's on the internet, it's free. Scrape first, justify later. And now, as the lawsuits pile up and regulators get nosy, the same people who scraped billions of web pages are suddenly telling us, "Don't worry, this time we did it ethically." Let's start with the basics. Ethically sourced data, in theory, means you collected your training data responsibly. You didn't spy, steal, or exploit. You got permission. You respected privacy. You didn't just take 1,000 Instagram selfies and use them to teach your face recognition model to guess skin tone. Except, that's exactly what happened. Let's talk about IBM's Diversity in Faces dataset. Great goal: reduce bias in facial recognition by using more diverse images. So IBM pulled around 1 million faces from Flickr under Creative Commons licenses. Sounds fair, right? Except, those people didn't sign up to train surveillance tech. One woman found out her wedding photo had been used. Another said she felt digitally violated. And here's the kicker: IBM wasn't breaking the law. They were following the license terms. But legality doesn't always equal ethics. So who does define what ethically sourced means? Well, that's the fun part. No one. There's no central authority, no certification, no fair trade for data logo. It's the Wild West out there, and everyone's building saloons. One startup might define ethical sourcing as "we asked permission." Another might say "we didn't scrape Reddit this time." And a third might just point to a Creative Commons label and call it a day. The result? You, me, everyone, left trying to figure out if that AI chatbot you're talking to was trained on public speeches or your old live journal entries. Let's zoom out. Most of today's big AI systems, chatbots, image generators, code assistants, they weren't trained on carefully curated, user-consented, ethically reviewed datasets. They were trained on massive piles of scraped web content. OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, they've all admitted it. Sometimes they say it outright. Sometimes they just use phrases like publicly available data or internet scale pre-training, which is Silicon Valley for "we took everything not nailed down." And technically, yes, it's legal in some jurisdictions. The US courts have ruled that scraping public data from the internet is probably not hacking. But let's be honest. That's like saying dumpster diving isn't theft. True, but would you build a commercial business off the contents of someone else's trash? Now let me introduce a crowd favorite in the data ethics horror show, Clearview AI. Clearview scraped over 3 billion facial images from platforms like Facebook, YouTube, even Venmo, without asking, without telling you, without shame. They built a face recognition engine so powerful, it reportedly identified people from a single blurry photo taken across the street. Law enforcement loved it. Privacy regulators did not. Clearview has been fined, sued, banned in multiple countries, and yet they're still operating. Because again, laws lag behind. But ethical red flags? Oh, those are waving hard. And here's the irony. If Clearview had simply added a banner on their homepage saying, "We care deeply about ethics," they might have passed the industry's current sniff test. That's how low the bar is. Because in AI right now, ethical is a marketing term, not a measurable metric. It's a vibes-based system. But let's not be cynical just yet. There are teams out there genuinely trying to build AI from ethically sourced data, like the researchers at Aluther AI and Hugging Face. They built a dataset using only public domain or clearly licensed texts, called the pile or the stack, depending on which version. They checked permissions, documented sources, and spent countless hours cleaning the data. Not sexy work, not scalable, but responsible. Then they trained a model using this dataset. And here's the twist. It worked. It wasn't GPT-4, but it held its own. And they didn't need to break copyright law or scrape Twitter at 2 a.m. So yes, building ethical AI is possible. Just not fast, not cheap, and definitely not fashionable yet. The real problem? There's no incentive to go the ethical route, unless users, investors, and regulators start demanding it. If you're an enterprise buyer investing millions in AI, and you're not asking where the data came from, you're complicit in the mystery meat supply chain. If you're a regulator still playing catch-up while facial recognition firms are mining baby photos, you're late to the party, but you can still shut it down. And if you're a consumer trusting that your AI assistant was trained ethically, maybe double-check before uploading your biometric data. Because unless there's transparency, real transparency, not terms of service you have to scroll through at light speed, then ethically sourced data means whatever someone needs it to mean today. Here's what we need. More transparency, more independent audits, more public pressure to treat data not as free dirt, but as something created by humans with rights and context and dignity. That's not anti-AI. That's pro-accountability. Ethical data isn't a buzzword. It's the ground floor of trust. And if you ignore it, if your AI system is built on shaky foundations, if you can't trace where your model's knowledge came from, don't be surprised when it hallucinates, discriminates, or lands you in court. That's it for this episode of Chatbots Behaving Badly. If you learned something new, or at least got slightly angrier than when you started, do me a favor. Share the show, leave a review, and maybe next time someone says, "Our data is ethically sourced," ask them to prove it. This was Certified Organic Data, now with 0% consent, written by Marcus Brinsa, narrated by Andrew Foley. The episode is based on the article Between Idealism and Reality, Ethically Sourced Data in AI by Marcus Brinsa. Please find a link to the article in the episode information. New episodes are every Tuesday. Until then, keep your chatbots honest, your datasets clean, and your skepticism sharp. See you next time.